Hello, card friends. I'm Alexi, and this is Rainbow Rivers. I participated in the Bushiroad Spring Fest online for the North America region for V Premium, and I got second place. And it was pretty crazy. This was my first tournament outside of doing locals. We've been playing Vanguard for about a year, and I went in thinking I wouldn't win a single game, and it went very different than I thought it would. Going in, I was really worried about going up against Gavrail, against Genesis, against Chaos, Prisms, but I only lost twice, and one of them was the final match, and that's pretty insane. I went up against Gavrail, I believe 4 times, and that was the other game that I lost. It was against Steven from WCC. And as far as gameplay goes, I didn't want to play the damage deny game. I know that's kind of, the strategy when you're going against Gavrail, but that's not fun for me. And as much as I hate losing, I would rather lose and have a little bit of fun and have my deck do what it's supposed to do, as opposed to not attacking until grade 3. So I just kind of went in swinging when I was fighting against Gavrail, and it worked out for the most part. I'll go into, when I go into the deck list about how I also played defensively while also striving to hit with big numbers, especially on my second grade 3 turn when my grade 1s have those 2 crits. But I guess I should mention I won using Luard. I couldn't imagine using another deck. I've been playing Shadow Paladin since I started the game. I started with building a Cleared Sword deck, and then I built Luard when it came out, went back and built like a Mordred PBO hybrid type build, and I love this deck, and I couldn't imagine doing my first tournament with anything else. And as far as my first tournament went, it was pretty amazing meeting the people that I did and fighting against the people that I fought against. I fought against 3 WCC guys, and I met a couple people I knew from like the Vanguardians Facebook page, and everyone was really kind and encouraging, and it was actually fun, and my nerves just kind of went away the longer that I was playing. It felt like I was just playing a game with friends, and it just kind of reminded me how much I love Vanguard and how much I love the community. So let's get started. Let's go into the deck. Couldn't film this video without using my lovely Luard mat that we got from Zero Damage Gaming that my lovely partner got for me. And also just wanted to share my sleeves real quick because I'm a Shadow Paladin nerd. Got those chibi Ren sleeves. And of course, we got our starter, Drag Prince Root. And let's start with our triggers. So it's pretty standard. Got our 4 draw PGs, Darkshield Maclear. Draw power is really important to me in this deck. It's pretty important in the meta in general because with this deck I like to sort of combine hitting with big numbers with also having a lot of shield, which was very important when I was fighting against Gavrail and Genesis. So we have 4 of those. And I'll say the only reason I won against that Genesis deck was because I happened to have 3 Maclears in my hand, and I was able to perfect guard the Uranus attack and the 2 Valkyrion attacks. So, but that's Vanguard. It's part of it is just the luck of the draw. But draw PGs make it a little more consistent. And then we're running 8 critical triggers. Got the Darkstar Trumpeter, Death Feather Eagle, and this is pretty standard. Got 4 of those, and of course we have our 4 heal triggers. I don't think I need to go too much into that. It's pretty standard for any Shadow Paladin deck, really. I think to run the draw PGs and the 8 crits for heals. It is very devastating on that second grade 3 turn when your grade 1s are already at 2 crits and then you just hit 1 or maybe 2 critical triggers in my case. But Moving on to grade 1s. I like to run 4 Drag Wizard Niece because, again, draw power, very important to me. I know some people don't like to run a lot of Niece, maybe like 1 or 2, but I mean, even her second effect can be very useful when placed by a card ability, Soul Blast 1, and your opponent chooses one of his or her rear guards and retires it. It was very useful to me when I was playing against Chaos because my opponent had only 1 rear guard on the field, and it was that Craving Claw behind the Vanguard, which they can search out a Starvator. So this was very useful to me and helped me in my Chaos deck, or in my Chaos fight. So we've got 4 of her, and it's a very good first turn search because you can search your top 7 for a Leafall or a dry card Luard. You don't have to discard for it like a lot of the other grade 3 searchers. And then I also run 3 Cherishing Knight Bronwyn. Again, that grade 3 search is very important to me. Something that I like to do if I'm using Drag Wizard Niece and I end up having a Leafall or a dry card available to me is to get that Leafall, because people like to damage deny Luard on that grade 2 turn. So if I ride Drag Wizard Leafall, they don't want me to have that counter blast, so I can just call a grade 1, and it's essentially for free, but I'll go into that later. And if they damage deny me, then I just have another Leafall in hand, could throw it out next turn, get some more grade 1s on the board. So I like to have that Bronwyn in there as well, so I can just add another grade 3 to my hand if I need it. And that extra +5 power that you get when you have 3 grade 1s in your drop zone can also be very useful. I run 2 Black Sage Karin. That's almost always the grade 1 that I call when I use Leafall's skill, because Soul Blast gets you a grade 1 in the drop zone pretty early, countercharge, and +3. So it's very useful. Especially because, like I said, people like to try and damage deny Luard. So running 2 of those, being able to recycle it back into the deck, getting those countercharges, being able to pull off more abilities, it's very useful. And something that really helps me with my defensive capabilities in this deck is Sage of Risk de Crump. I run 2 of those, and his ability on rear guard is if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, all of your front row grade 1 units get intercept. And that's pretty much an extra 20k shield a turn. And that was very helpful for me, especially going against big hitters like Gabriel with Hamiel, or, you know, again, Genesis. It's very good just, you know, as a backup if you know you're not going to win this turn, you're going to need some extra shield next turn. So we run 2 of those. And then we have Abyssal Owl. A lot of people like to run 3 or 4 of these. I run 2 because I like to have room for other things that can be big attackers or give me other resources. And something that's really great about Luard is you can recycle your grade 1s back into your deck. So if you call Abyssal Owl, use his skill, use your dry card Luard's effect, get him in the drop zone, you can put him right back into the deck and bring him out again. And that's also very good for defensive capabilities. When I was going up against decks that I knew I was going to need some good shield, I was constantly calling the Owl, putting him in the drop zone, putting him back into the deck just to get more cards in hand. So I'm running 2 of those. I also run 1 Nightmare Painter. Every now and then, especially if I'm using Niece to try and get rid of rear guards, I'm going to need a little more soul. And that's what this card does. You can put a grade 1 or less into the soul, which is good because you don't want to take grade 1s out of your drop zone. You want them in there for Bronwyn or for Luard or for Morfessa. So with this card, you can put a grade 0 into your soul, you know, get an extra soul blast, get some extra power. So I run 1 of Nightmare Painter. And then finally, I consider this card very crucial to how I play the deck. This is Strict Order Knight Lualis. In most Luard builds that I've seen, people are running 1, maybe 2. And I run 4 because I don't run the Apocalypse Bat engine. I don't run Abyss Router because in my experience, they just don't rack up enough power even with the stacked force markers to make too much of a difference. But with Lualis, when you have 5 or more grade 1 rear guards, this unit gets plus 15. And if you're on a second grade 3 turn, you have Drag Driver as your Vanguard, your grade 1s have 2 crits. It's very devastating to have just a column of 2 Lualises. Normally I like to stack my force markers 2 on one rear guard circle, 2 on another, depending on, you know, if I'm able to ride, drag hard, that kind of thing. So having a 60k attacker is very important to me. I like to run this deck with big numbers. But this isn't the end-all be-all build. You can try different things. Maybe the Apocalypse Bat engine works for you. Maybe Abyss Router works for you. This is just how I like to play the deck. I like big numbers. And our grade 2s. I run 4 Drag Wizard Leofall. That's the ideal grade 2 ride. And it's very useful because his skill is Vanguard or Rearguard. So again, if they try to damage deny you so you can't use his effect when you ride him, then, you know, next turn I like to just call out another Leofall to Rearguard, get another grade 1 to your field. If you're using Karn, it's essentially for free. So I run 4 of that. Can be very useful, very standard. And I'm running 3 Drag Wizard Morfessa. And Morfessa is very crucial in this deck because this enables multi-attack. She counts as a grade 1 if your Vanguard is a Luard, and this counts in the deck or on Rearguard. And like I said, this is very crucial to the deck because with Luard's effect with Drag Driver, you counterblast and you call grade 1s from the deck, so you can call her from that skill. And multi-attacking in this meta is very important. Now, something that I like to run is 1 Darkness Maiden Maka, because sometimes I just don't get that Leofall in my hand. Sometimes I end up with a Karn in my hand early on in the game, and I still want to be able to use that skill, Soul Blast, get a grade 1 in my drop zone early on. And it was something that really helped me in one of my matches in the Springfest tournament. I didn't have Leofall, and I had a Karn and a Maka in my hand. So I was able to ride Maka on grade 2, use her skill to call Karn from my hand, and since it was technically called from an ability, I could use Karn's skill to Soul Blast and Countercharge. And then it's, you know, you get a draw from it, you get an extra +5, so it's just a little more pressure on that grade 2 turn. And then, of course, we're running the boy himself for Dragheart Luard. His first skill can be very important because with Nice, with her retiring ability, your opponent chooses which rearguard to retire, but with Dragheart, you can choose yourself, and that's very crucial to me, especially when going against Chaos. That was something I was very worried about going to Springfest. I like to use Dragheart's skill to retire anything that lets you search the deck. You know, if an attack hits or when the unit boosts. It's very useful for getting rid of those pesky sort of cards. I run 4 of him. And last but not least, we have 3 Drag Driver Luards. I find myself only needing 3. I've played maybe 1 game where maybe I damage checked a Drag Driver or 2. I couldn't get him out of the soul. You know, it was just a very unlucky game for me. But it's only happened once where I found myself needing more than 3 Drag Drivers. But the majority of the time, 3 is perfect. And you can also Soul Blast him and recycle him back into the deck if you need to, if you're going past 3 grade 3 turns or if you damage check him. So that's really what makes this deck devastating, I think, is the ability to call resources when you need them, the ability to recycle them back into the deck. And that's my build. This is the deck that got me 2nd place in my first tournament. and I'm looking forward to playing it in premium as well. Well, that's all for this video. Again, I just want to thank the guys at WCC for being so welcoming and kind to me during the tournament. I want to thank my teammates in Rainbow Reverse, Joe and Chaz and Tori, for really helping me prepare for this tournament and helping me figure out how to go against Gavrail and Chaos and those decks that I was really worried about. I definitely couldn't have gotten as far as I did without their help. So that's all for now. Wishing you guys all the best. This has been Rainbow Reverse, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.